Hi, and welcome back to the second day of the Power of Festival. Today, we are joined by two incredible speakers to talk about the power of next gen. I'm joined by Iggy London, who is, and I'm going to look at my phone for this because it's quite a list actually. He's an award-winning British filmmaker, artist and writer, known for his distinctive style and telling... sorry, I can't even talk now. Thank you for that. But actually, to just conclude on that, what I'll say is that his work's incredibly wonderful and his storytelling is brilliant and beautiful, and we're going to get into one of his pieces shortly that I first came across, and that's how I got to know who you are. We're also joined by Dean George, and actually his bio was quite interesting because he talks about himself in such an interesting way. Dean George is easily the best thing out of Hackney since London Feels Lido.
Cheers.
I mean, that's a big statement, considering we're in Brixton, and I think Brixton's probably got quite a good Lido as well. But we won't focus on that. We're actually just going to dive right in, and thank you so much for joining me. As I say, this panel is all about next generation Black creatives who are leading the charge in telling our stories in an authentic and representative way. And I think that you guys are going to do an incredible job about talking about what you do. So, to jump right in, I consider you to both be part of the new vanguards of Black creativity in your respective fields, but how does it feel to shoulder a title of that nature? Iggy, coming to you.
I mean, I want to say that I don't necessarily even think about it as a thing. I think I first started making films because I decided I saw it quite early on that there just wasn't necessarily representations in the media of people that looked like me, but more importantly, people that I could relate to, I could laugh at and cry with and feel connected to, and also learn things that they're actually going through. So I realized that my whole plight in terms of telling my stories comes from a place of basically undoing all the levels of casting away certain stories and certain films. And so I don't necessarily think about my work as like being a vanguard of the Black creative or like whatever. I kind of always just kind of like look at what I'm doing in a very kind of singular path that just requires, my energy and my energy alone. And if it means that it's telling a bigger story and it's part of a bigger kind of conversation as we are here, then that's great, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I think it's that case of thinking that your work is bigger than you.
Yeah.
Before I carry on, Dean, coming to you actually.
Yeah, well, like in all honesty, I don't really see any pressure at all. It's more like the way I see my work is I want to do it first and foremost because I love it. And if it so happens to have an impact on a community, which it does, amazing. And when things happen naturally, you're always given something that's so organic, so natural that you don't see it as a burden or any sort of pressure to you as an individual. Sure. And like the way I view my work, like in the future is like I want my kids to see it and be like, wow, this is crazy. It's not about today, it's about longevity, it's about generational empowerment, it's about cultural development and like just plugging for the future, because the hard work I'm doing now is gonna enable my kids not to work as hard, but to realize where hard work can get them.
But also to not have to struggle.
Exactly.
As much as we and our ancestors have had to struggle in the past. Actually, there was the previous panel about beauty bias. You know, there was a lot of talk of standing on our ancestors' shoulders. And I think with every new layer, there is added layers of growth and development and hopefully removing a lot of the strife for our future generations in that sense. And for me, I wanted to pose that question because I know so many people don't want to have to shoulder that responsibility or the weight of those words of being considered a vanguard, for instance. But you are.
Yeah.
But I think, sorry, go on.
And I think it's important also, like, you can't get out of that because of the history, because of the fact that so many people haven't had the ability to make their films or create their art or have their platform. That suddenly you think that you're the one who has the choice. Like out of so many people, you have the ability to basically change the world. But at the same time, you shouldn't hold that too much to the point where you can't actually create the work that you need to create.
Definitely. And I also think, like, just to add to that, whereas we may be the vanguards of this current present moment, we have to acknowledge the efforts of our ancestors, our parents, to enable us to get to this point as well. So it's like, in their own right, they are like the kingpins and the bosses
as well.
They're the vanguards as well, you know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, cool. We've just been exposed to the creative industry. Wow, it's the same thing, it's just a different angle. And it's like, whilst our parents may not understand our industry as well as we do, no matter how much we try and explain it to them, it's like our kids will understand it because we understand it. And then we'll understand our parents, how they thought. So they'll be getting like twice the knowledge. Exactly, it's just a domino effect. And it's like, I just think it's an open mind can lead to so many outcomes. And I think that's the responsibility for me, just to have an open mind.
Yeah, completely. I think that's so true, especially as creatives, and actually thinking about vanguards who you looked up to or looked at when you were younger. Who were those people? Dean, starting with you.
Wow. First of all, music and sport play a massive part in my life. So I remember when I was young, I used to spend a lot of time like watching my dad play cricket. Like, to this day, he should stop playing. He's not very good anymore, but he's hanging on. But just that whole cultural environment that the West Indian culture like provided whilst being in the UK, it was like the islands in London through a sport. And it's just like that whole culture, that whole narrative, that whole way they communicate with each other. And then for me to go to school on a Monday and just have that juxtaposition, it was just like, wow, like this is super cool. So I'll say my dad definitely, and the sport of cricket. And then in addition to that, in terms of music, an artist called Sizzler. It's like, that's when I first started to grasp narrative free music. He was making music, he's singing, but he's talking, and I'm understanding everything that he's saying. And it's almost like, wow, words are really powerful.
Completely, they convey such a message.
Exactly, and I say it to this day, I must say it at least 2 times a week. Music is the most powerful thing in the world, in my opinion.
But why is that?
I think it's because of where it travels. Like, an artist could have a single being played in a country they will never visit in their life. And like those frequencies, they travel endlessly. And it's just such a powerful thing, and it's so diverse as well. And it's a thorough representation of the world, I think. So how diverse our world is versus how diverse music is, it just goes hand in hand, and it's like a massive mixing pot where you may not know anything about a certain culture, but you can become so engrossed through the music that's come from that culture.
True.
And it's like, it's incredible.
Yeah, I think music universally links us. Definitely. No matter who you are, what your walk of life, we can all appreciate music from different artists, from different genres, and celebrate partnership, unity in that sense. And I think that's why I love music in that way. Iggy, what about you? Vanguards.
It's really weird because I don't necessarily know, really. Musically, there's an artist in the Congo called Awilo Longomba. And he did this, there's this loads of songs. He does this dance, everyone knows the dance. I basically would literally, I'm not gonna do the dance.
I was about to invite you.
I'm not gonna do the dance, especially in shorts, which is my bad for wearing shorts, by the way. But basically, yeah, he does this dance, and I think it's really weird because it's the first time that I saw like formations and dance moves that just didn't necessarily look as Western, and like it got me thinking about like how universal they were, because even though they weren't Western, because so many people could look at them and just feel like they wanted to just be a part of that community. I used to watch it and just be like, oh, I want to see what they're doing, and I just want to dance. I just want to move. And I feel like that was the first time I kind of saw like representations of movement and repetitions that weren't necessarily like akin to the things that it wasn't raising your hands or like gum.
Yeah. Oh God.
It was very much like a different vibe that I don't know, I was interested in, and I liked how free it was, and it was freeing, and it was something which is like, this is a man dancing like how Beyonce would dance, like shaking his.
Don't get me started on Beyonce.
And I thought that was sick, and I thought that was like amazing to watch at a young age. I used to be gassed at Blue Peter. I love Blue Peter.
Did you ever get the badge?
Never. But I used to just watch. I used to be like just watch the TV, me like up, staring at everyone. And there's this TV host guy called Ayo Akinwole, and I was just like, he was the first ever like black man that I ever saw on TV. So and also Reggie Yates, massive fans of them, and I love their work. I just love what he's doing at the moment. Reggie's insane. So I think those would be my vanguards. But like you said, it's just entering into different worlds and just feeling as though like it has the ability to like solve, heal, support, aid you, and I feel like those are the vanguards that I looked at.
No, for sure. And what I love about both of your answers there is that you've not gone for these big figures in TV or fashion or art or whatever. Like, it's a lot closer to home in that sense. Because I think sometimes we're expected to pick the big names like Beyonce's as she's my vanguard because she's got so many accolades and she's got so many awards and whatever to her name, and actually it extends beyond that so that it becomes more personal and unique for you. Thinking about representation within your work, why is the representation of the black community so important for you to showcase? And I'm going to start with you because all of your work that I've ever encountered really truly does that, and in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the best way how I can explain this eloquently in my head. And I don't think I've ever had to like answer it properly. But the reason why I'm so preoccupied with the black expression, the black existence, and the black formations, and utilizing black bodies and representing black bodies in media is because for such a long time, I feel, as I said, I don't think that there was necessarily that representation. And I was growing up and I was seeing, don't get me wrong, like I watched Big Cook, Little Cook, and I watched like all the like CBeebies, and I loved, Downton Abbey is cool, do you get me? But I feel as though like, for growing up, I just never necessarily saw people that looked like me that showed a different lens other than a very repetitive and regurgitated story that I was I didn't see, I didn't feel. So very young in my career, or like early on in my career, all I thought about was, okay, Iggy, there hasn't been proper representations or proper stories being told. Your job, therefore, is to go back and basically tell all these stories that have been told, but just have black cast members. And I feel like that was my idea. I was like, let me just reverse everything that's gone on. Like, let me just start with like, I don't know,
it's a fresh slate, so to speak.
Exactly. Let me just do like a Jesus film of Birth of Jesus, but have everyone black. I was like, okay, cool. Let me do like Friends, but everyone black. My stories were just like, okay, exactly what's happened before, but just incorporate black expression and black bodies. But then I actually realized the whole thing was actually, in order for you to really, really try to like reorder and shape the way in which we live in now, you have to actually realize that what you're doing at the moment is holding a mirror to the black experience and the black stories. And that's all now I'm really preoccupied in doing, is just being able to hold mirrors to actual stories so that we are able to learn and understand ourselves just as much as any other kind of group of people. And until grown-ass, little boys are able to like watch themselves and be like, actually, I can learn from that mistake because he did it in TV, or I can learn from that because he did it in film, and I watched that in theatre. then I don't think my work's done. So it's a growing way of just being able to solve problems, identify issues in Black experiences, and having the ability for Black people to be able to feel edified, learn from, solve solutions, and just be able to live in a world where they feel as though they are also part and parcel of it, I think.
I mean, I love that answer, and I know that you said you've never had to really truly answer that before, but that was such a really beautiful answer and way of putting it, and that representation is so important. Dean, coming to you.
In terms of me, I feel as though it all starts with empowerment, and that takes time. And I feel as though with how I've approached things with my magazine, it's almost as though I want to have an ecosystem where the foundations are Black. We're Black owned, we're proud to be Black owned. Our team is the majority of the team comes from Afro-Caribbean descent. However, we still have a wide range of people within the team. However, I feel as though the fact that I'm the founder and I'm of Black race, it creates like a narrative that, okay, cool, if there's a Black kid who wants to ask me something or wants to have a feature or wants to understand how things work within the industry, they can approach me and I'm able to tell them, all right, cool, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it. And in terms of that, that's where I do feel responsible, going back to the previous question, for things, because I do feel as though like my responsibility is that as a young Black man in the position that I am, I can help other young Black men. And not just young Black men, young Black people in general. And it's like a lot of people from my area, it's like they're so confused as to how like I have a magazine and how like I've got the job role that I do, and like they're so happy for me, and I'm just like, bro, like literally, this is not just for me, it's for all of us.
Possibilities are endless.
Literally.
Is the point, but we don't always get shown and taught that.
Exactly.
That's part of the problem.
Exactly. And I think addressing that again is a thing that I always say to everyone. Nothing is far away in this interconnected world that we're living in right now. You might not get a reply, but you can DM Drake right this second.
Completely.
Like right this second. And the world we live in right now, it's like nothing's far away. And the moment you start limiting your potential or your thinking, that's when you're not going to progress. It's like you have to think, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm Black. Maybe I may be at a disadvantage. However, I'm still going to do it. No one's going to stop me. And that's the exact mindset that I've had like all my life. And I remember growing up, my parents always used to say to me, being Black, you're going to work like 10 times, you have to work 10 times harder. And like, I was like, oh, yeah.
Where's the lie?
Right.
Like, there's no lie there. Like, where's the lie? Like,
literally, I was like, oh my gosh, do I really? Oh no, this is not looking good. And then it's like, as I was getting older and I began to understand things and see things, I was like, wow, this is actually really true. Like, just in terms of like having nice things and being questioned as to how I've acquired those nice things, and like by the police and stuff. It's just like, wow. So do you believe that I can't have nice things? Like,
there's a misconception.
There's a misconception, and it's like, it's so simple. The way I look at the world, I don't see race. Like, I see input, output. You work hard, you get rewarded. What you put in, you get out. It's so simple, and it's like, that's like, this is a larger discussion, but like that's why I believe like racism like is always gonna be present, because there's a stigma that certain people don't deserve certain things. No, if you work hard, you deserve certain things. It's so simple.
I think to that point, like, ignorance will always exist.
Exactly.
But I think it's really important that we look within ourselves, within any marginalized community, not just within the Black community, to be able to see that we're all able to achieve success and that we can strive for success in any way, shape, or form. I think, though, that there's also a point where our parents need to understand, especially if we want to go into the creative industries, that we can be successful, especially coming from Afro-Caribbean families. There can often be a stigma of, going into the creative industries. What's that? You need to become a doctor, a lawyer, a banker. What is this? Where I think there's an educational point for our parents as much as there is for us as different communities about how we can strive for success, and that success is always within our reach and grasp. But Iggy, coming back to you for a second, Black Boys Don't Cry was my first introduction to your work, and that's what made me a fan of what you do. It's hard to pick my favorite editorial or video, but which project for you has been the most fun or enjoyable or enriching to create?
I would probably say I would say Black Boys Don't Cry. I would say Black Boys Don't Cry because there's a massive context that I have to I made that film for I don't know, maybe I probably had £100. I went to all my friends and I asked them if they could be part of it. I, DM'd all the cast members in it, tried to get this studio on the low, and I just had a hunch. It was so funny because the reason why I'm a filmmaker is because of a New Year's resolution. It was an Esperance. Can you believe that the whole idea of me became my job now is because of a New Year's resolution? But in 2016, I basically was I want to make a film. Yeah. Because I had this poem that I wrote and I put under my bed for a long time, and called Black Boys Don't Cry, and I was just I want to make this into a film eventually. I performed it, and people they were interested, and I was just I would love to make it into a film. And then for New Year's resolution, I was I'm going to make this film. Got loads of my friends to be on board. I was super happy with it. I was mad surprised. And I was why would you want to be part of this guy's film? He doesn't know how to make films. And I just dreamt, shot for shot, how is it going to look like? And on the day, just, prayed to God to, it looked all right. And then, it came out all right, and then...
Yeah, just all right. Just to be clear, it came out incredibly well.
But it came out good. And now I have a whole career because I dreamt one day that I wanted to do something. And that's brilliant. And I think that's why I'm gassed about it. Not because it's not... cinematically, is it my favorite film? No, in terms of maybe I could have done things completely different in other areas, but that was the main formation into me realizing my actual creativity and thinking, okay, I can actually do this. It's probably my most rewarding film.
I mean, I guess in that sense, it was the foundation.
Yeah.
And if you make Black Boys Don't Cry 2, just saying, please put me in it.
Yes.
I'm just putting myself forward at this point right now.
Yes.
Dean, I'm sure you'd like to be in it too.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you for that. So Dean, from your bio again, but also for myself, as the proud father of the Power of Festival, I'm keen to know what inspired you to create Gaucho World.
Yeah, so in terms of creating Gaucho World, it started off as a passion project where I literally just wanted to document my friends who were athletes, musicians, clothing designers, because it's I just believe everyone just had a super cool story to tell, and that's how I got into filmmaking. That's how I got into creative direction, and it was really DIY. I would just spend hours, countless hours in my bedroom just trying to figure out what it actually is. And it's I just wanted it to be something for my community, and it's something that has now become a kind of strapline. It's our culture, our community.
Yeah.
And how we've done it is we've kept it in-house, we've kept it local, but at the same time we've placed our localized talent alongside internationally recognized individuals. So it's on our page you can have the likes of a Billie Eilish alongside a smaller artist, and for that smaller artist it's yeah, look, I'm next to this person,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, in terms of the sports coverage as well, it's athletes are looked at so one-dimensionally. It's almost as though you're an athlete, do your sport, that's all you've got to do. And it's a case of what I wanted Gaucho World to be for athletes as well, is a safe haven where they can express their creative beliefs and have their own identity where they don't have to feel judged. And that's where the cover of England and Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin came about, because he's heavily into fashion. And I remember there was while I was doing my research, there was a article in Sky Sports when him and Tom Davies went to New York, and the title was Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Tom Davies done their best to try and fit in at New York Fashion Week. And it's almost, what do you mean, try to fit in? Maybe that's just their interest away from sport.
But that title, it's negative in the first instance.
It's very negative. It's very negative. And I said, okay, cool. Nah. Gaucho Road are for these athletes to live without a care in the world. And like that cover of him in the blue suit, no shirt, it's just like, yeah. Like,
it's powerful.
This is a big, we don't care.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it no matter what. And like, the sports coverage isn't for every athlete. Like, not everyone can get it, man.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have the sauce. You have to have some flavor. You have to be of,
Bit of spice.
you know,
Yeah.
upper echelon. You know,
Yeah.
you have to
I'm
be
with you.
good and proper. And then like music, that's the easiest bit, because music just makes the world go around. And then like fashion is in there as well, because what I've noticed as well, musicians always want to be athletes. The athletes always want to be musicians. And the one thing they all have in common is they dress the same.
Yeah.
So it's like those three things living together in one space is like, it's just so natural, it's so organic. And like with my view of how things should look, it's just been like a massive like visual extravaganza where it's like everything I post I'm proud of. Everything that I curate I'm proud of. Every shoot that I creative direct I'm proud of. Every issue that I've put out, which is only one, but I'm proud
so
of.
far.
One so far, but we've done like 3 covers, so it's amazing. And it's like with Gaucho, it's almost as though I didn't know how big it could be, and that's how I think things should be. You should just do things for the passion of it and the love that you have for it, and then naturally things will just start to happen. And this is the position I'm in today, where we've been stocked in one of the biggest magazine outlets in the country, and we've just been contacted to be stocked in Paris as well.
Nice, amazing.
And
Congrats.
this is all independently done. And the point I continuously make to my team is that this is happening not because of anything else but us doing the right things and us doing things properly. And it may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, but once we get to that point where everything starts to snowball into a massive snowball, it's like, it's gonna be a lovely feeling, because we've worked so hard to get to that point. And I just didn't want our community to continuously have to look at the likes of Dazed, ID, Complex, to feel accepted.
Gatekeepers, basically.
Yeah, and so Dazed, I love Dazed, I love ID, I love Complex, I love everything they do. I'd be lying if I said to you that I don't look up to them and admire. However, it's like, imagine having something that's growing and you're growing with it at the same time. It's just such a naturally nice feeling
It's
to
a
have.
personally rewarding
It's
experience.
exactly.
And I think we need to take those moments, because sometimes we often, especially being British in that sense, we can be like, oh, I can't accept that compliment, I can't blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, do you know what, I'm actually good at what I do. Not in an arrogant way, just in an accepting way of what you've created and what you've done. And I think it's so important that we do that moving forward.
100%.
Iggy, coming back to you, you're working on your debut book, which is called Mandem.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about it?
Okay, Mandem. So how Mandem came about was I had an idea that my mum used to always call people who wore do-rags or wore jogging bottoms like Nike, Combat. I mean, like anything, hoodies, anything like that, and they're on a street corner. She always called them area boys. Like, she's like, you're such an area boy, like, you're such like a smooth boy, like, street boy, like a rap, right? And everyone used to, but at the same time, loads of people used to come up to me and be like, "Oi, man them." They used to, like, when we're all like outside or whatever, "Oi, man them," whatever. And the man them used to always like, had this like, there used to be like an archetype for the man them. You know, this had to be like masculine, hench, I don't know, like whatever. And I wanted to redefine the idea of how we call like what we see man them by incorporating writers from different disciplines, different like walks of life to come together just to write chapters on their own stories with a thread of masculinity. So like you have, I swear my agent's probably gonna kill me. But
You
have like people in it that they're talking about really interesting things.
Right.
And you have artists and rappers and dancers and people like writers that actually their jobs are writers or poets. You've got people talking about a whole different type of things, from sex to knife crime to migration to environment to like the list is endless, and I think I'm really interested in being able to like put that under the topic of mandem to get people to really think about like, okay, cool, what does the modern man look like in the 21st century, without going, this is the modern man, 21st century, this is like GQ, blah, blah, blah. Just having a phrase that traditionally would be considered to be of one thing, and now making it like be perceived as multidimensional.
It was one archetype, so to speak. But you can just look at the three of us on this panel here. We're all different in that sense. But whilst there might be some common threads, we're all unique in our own journey of who we are and what our masculinity is. And masculinity can often be seen as such a dirty word, especially in the black community. And again, like coming back to Black Boys Don't Cry, that is just as a subject, because we're not supposed to cry, we're not supposed to show emotion. Whereas actually I feel now we're breaking down those barriers and those walls, and we're giving people the freedom, no matter who you are, to exist. And so I love that. And when's the book coming out exactly?
Book's coming out...
plug it.
It's coming out 2022, end of 2022, and it's currently just in its writing process, and we're just getting all the people together. But it's probably one of the most exciting things I've ever done. Petrified at the idea that actually, like, I talk a lot of crap, and now it's gonna actually be in written form. But I'm really excited as well. It's gonna be beautiful.
Love that. Looking forward to seeing it. And Dean, coming back to you, as you progress in your career as a creative, where do you hope for it to take you?
Honestly, in terms of where it's going to take me, the sky's the limit, because sometimes I don't know what I'm even going to get up to next week. Don't know where I'll be. Like sometimes I get a call and it's like, you're going to Germany, you're going to Manchester for this, and it's just like, all right, cool, I need to get ready. But yeah, it's just limitless, and I think the most important thing for me is to continue to make great work in terms of my creative direction, my film direction, and my magazine as well. So I wouldn't want to say this is where I want to be. I would rather say, like, I know I'm going to be in a good place, because, like, back to what I said earlier, the input is always going to be at a certain level. And, like, no matter what it is, I always put a lot of research, a lot of effort into the product. Some people see some of the films I made, for example, like a couple of films I released with EA Sports, and I'm like, oh, this shot was amazing. And then I asked them, like, why was it amazing? And then they were like, oh, the way and then I explained to them why I actually done the shot. And then once they understand that, it's like, it's a whole different response. And it's like, those are the kind of things that I want to continuously do throughout my work. I want to continuously have like my own like secret narrative in terms of everything I do. So like one day I can literally sit down and be like, you see this shot, this is why it was done like this, and this is the deeper meaning, this is the mise en scène behind why I've done certain things. And honestly, I'm just like really looking forward to the future, and I've got to a point in my life where I'm excited to wake up every day. Like, I'm excited to. I don't want to sleep. Like, I don't want the days to end. Like,
It's a nice place to be in.
yeah, it's a really nice place to be in, and in all honesty, that's the place I want to be in forever. And as long as I'm there, I'll be happy.
I think that's a really nice thing that, because, often people talk about having the Sunday scaries or something like that and not wanting to go to work on a Monday.
Yeah.
Monday's my favorite day, to be fair, because it's a new opportunity to start something, to do something, to develop something or continue what you're already working on. So I like that I'm not the only person that, likes every day. You?
Yeah, I like Mondays.
Yeah. You know what it is? I view things now as like, it's just, I stopped playing computer games when I was like 18, and I just invested into being the best at what I could be. Like, I just stopped playing video games, and it's like, for me now, it's like the life I'm living is like, I just find it like it's a game. I call it a game. I say it's a game. Like this life I'm living, like, it's just a massive game. Like, there's different levels to it. Like, you want to get to the highest level. You want to beat the boss. You want to be known as the person who's beaten the boss, and like create amazing stuff. And it's every day I'm just thinking about, how am I going to get to the next level? Sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm actually stuck on this level. I've been on this level for like 2 months now. How do I get past this? And then you figure it out. Yes, tick, move on.
Yep.
And it's like that adventure and that excitement is what keeps me smiling. It's what keeps me working. It's what's keep me like researching. And it's the controller in this game is my brain.
Nice.
And like, the more I train my brain, the better I get.
Completely.
And the more information I feed it, the more prepared, the more adaptable I am, the more sustainable I am, the more of an asset I am to clients. And they look at me and they're like, oh. Sometimes when I'm at work, it's like the way that I'm protected, I feel a massive amount of respect to the work that I've put in, to a point where it's like, all right, cool. Like, why are you asking Dean to do this? Like, it's not worth it. This is not worth Dean's time. And it's not me that's saying it. It's like someone else is seeing the value in the cheat codes that I've spent to put into my brain. And it's like, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And it's like, that level of respect is what, you don't chase after it. It just happens naturally. And back to what I was saying earlier, and that's just as a result of being true to yourself and like always putting the art first and always putting your creation first and not putting a cap on what you can do and what you can't do. Like, nothing's far.
That leads me to my next question, actually.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that you have to compromise on your craft to make it more palatable for a wider audience or any type of audience in that sense, Iggy? Sorry, no, all right, we can start with Dean, I'm sorry. Dean, back to you.
Oh, boy. You know what? Yes and no, because if I really want something in there, what I'll do, I'll say something that I know it's going to be a no, and I don't care about it as much. But the thing that I really want to happen, I'll follow it up with it. So it's like, you said no to that, so don't say no to me twice. Like, they're going to be a little bit bad. So it's like, it's just about finding that right balance. There's been so many jobs where, when I look back at things, I'm like, if I got my way on this could have been so much better. But then it's like, all right, cool. like when you're working with brands and like commercial entities, like you have to realize there's boxes that they need to tick as well.
Yes.
So in terms of like making sure that those boxes are ticked, you have to compromise sometimes. But then you've got your own business where you can do you can do whatever you want. So it's like, then I've got my own business, and it's like, who's gonna tell me no? It's mine. And then I just do it anyway. And then people end up liking that, and because of the style I do certain things, it's like, wow, maybe we can do this for our business. Oh, hold on a second. This is what I told you in the first place to do, but now you see, it's just like, you just gotta be smart with how you maneuver things. And it's like, sometimes a no may be no today, but tomorrow.
It's not an infinite no.
It's not an infinite no. So it's like, yeah, you have to let go sometimes to move forward. And yeah, I'm used to.
You're just like dropping those like gems today. Sometimes you gotta let go to move forward. I like that.
Oh, what can I say?
Iggy, are you ready to answer the question now?
I guess so. Yeah, I think I sometimes do compromise. I compromise on like small things, like I compromise on certain shots because the feedback is we don't want it in there, or we think it's too long, or blah 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 blah. But yeah, at the same time, I think sometimes I also compromise on like things because I feel as though I think we live in such a digital and social media world that I'm trying to like get people to listen and get the masses to pay attention. So suddenly it compromises on the subject matter or how best I do things. And so I don't necessarily think, if I even see it from like this is a capitalist structure or a white structure telling me no or pushing back on things. I think it comes from what I really want to do and really telling myself whether I'm actually doing the things I want to do. And I think sometimes you do compromise because you're trying to appease other people. But yeah, it comes back to trying to imagine the thing you really, 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 really want yourself to have, or your child to have, or your younger self to have. And I think that when you do that, then you push back even more. But yeah, compromise sometimes, but not all the time, I say.
Can I add to that as well?
Yeah.
And just in terms of like being in the industry as well, you never want to build like a reputation for yourself as being a difficult person.
No, and especially as black people.
Exactly. As a black person as well, you don't want to be that guy that's like, oh my days, like we're gonna have to spend a day going back and forth on something so minute.
Right, that is me.
No, but sometimes you need that, but then sometimes you've got people who are just trying to trigger something in you because...
Exactly.
Okay.
Because of the position you may be in.
Yeah.
So you just have to be really careful, and it's like, again, like back to being a young black man, your temperament is tested a lot. Like on a daily basis, your temperament is tested a lot. And sometimes it's just like, how I look at things, when I feel as though someone's been a little bit cheeky, I just swallow it, look at where I am, realize that I'm happy to wake up every day, and that small moment of annoyance, water off a duck's back. I can't be asked.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still gonna create the work. I'm still gonna get on with my day. My blood pressure's gonna stay at a reasonable level. I'm not asked, and it's like, I don't wanna. There's so much narratives about the angry young black boy, and it's like, no matter what in my life, I never like retaliate to anything that I assume to be something that is aimed to provoke me, because what we need to realize as well, this isn't just for black people, is that your life can like change in an instant, and a moment of hot-headedness can literally ruin your life.
Yeah, and it's a corporate or a working environment.
Exactly.
And I need to bring my best self. It's not based on my race, it's based on the job that I'm there to do. And it's just like, I don't want you to try and paint me in a particular way or stereotype me or put a negative connotation against me because of what you perceive or what you assume. I'm just there to do a good job.
Exactly.
And I want to leave with the knowledge that I can potentially come back and do another good job. Iggy, you touched on media before, which leads me into my next question. And we are nearing the end, so if anybody does have any questions, please let us know. At a time where there is so much media for people to consume, how do you cut through the noise with your work?
That's so easy for me.
Okay,
like,
tell us.
Honestly, it's like, quality control. That is what it is. It's quality control. Don't feel as though you need to put work out there. The only person who knows how frequently you're putting stuff out is yourself.
Yeah.
Like, don't feel pressured that, oh my days, this person's posted, I need to keep up. Nah, it's about levels. Like, it's literally about levels. It's about making sure everything you put out is to a certain standard. And if it's not at that standard, it doesn't deserve to be out there, because the same way you see that person on your timeline that posts every day and you're sick of it because the quality of it is just so whatever, you don't have to be that person. When you put something out into the world, make sure the audience that are going to be receiving it are going to be like, wow. They want to know, like, what's coming next. They want to know, when's the next film? When's the next project coming? And you want to be like, not too sure when the time is right.
I mean, have a Rihanna moment. Everybody's waiting for Rihanna's new studio album, and it's been like 5 years.
She could literally drop a track that literally features the CB, like Teletubbies. and people would
Literally. There's one point, she released a song, I think 2 years ago. She had like a bar. One bar. And everyone went crazy.
It blew up.
It blew up. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And it just goes to show it's about quality control. Honestly, it's like, if you look at certain artists' portfolio, you look at the likes of Kanye, you look at the likes of, let's bring it closer to home, you look at Nines, for example, 3 Nines, by the way. But he releases music so sporadically. However, he's won award. His last album won an award. Like, I think it was topped the charts. His album was top of the charts. An artist that's a rapper got a UK #1 album, not a single, an album. And this is someone who just releases music when he wants. And it goes back to quality control. You need to make people want to see your work. It's not a case of here, take. It's, you have a little bit, eat it, get hungry.
We provide sometimes, I guess, too much for people to consume.
Exactly.
And then actually, consumers then expect that same level of product all the time.
Yeah.
And it's too difficult. It's like you can be Ariana Grande and put out 3 albums in the space of 2 years or something. But actually, then your fans are going to expect that time and time again. And then you hit burnout, and there's no point. And it just becomes too much. Iggy, what about you?
I just think it's about trying to, what lasts the test of time. And I just think it's important that, you do a film, like, you just, on a whim, and that film still is referenced, like, 4 years, from its creation. And I feel like it's important that you don't necessarily, you silence the noise by understanding why you're doing your work and figuring out the importance, the pillars or the principles behind your work. And if it means, investigating, researching, learning a little bit more about, short lists or like the mise en scène, as you mentioned, or like just why you're doing it, it actually becomes much more of a therapeutic task for yourself as well as the people that watch it, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've spent moments before where I've been looking actively what other people are doing and thinking that I need to follow a similar process or structure, and actually it's rubbish. I need to tread my own path as the way that other people should do, in my opinion. And, as you guys are saying, as opposed to chasing the stream, especially if we look at things like social media in particular, we need to look beyond that, because that's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, definitely.
For the sake of it.
And I think, like, everyone's like familiar of the term of like supply and demand, but it's almost a case of we need to make it demand and supply. And it's like, once we've created that demand for our work, you as an entity have the power of supply.
Yeah.
So it's like, cool, they want this, how am I going to give it to them? And that's when you get to a point where your work will be valued like never before. Completely.
2 more questions and then we're done, but I always love to know who people's industry peers are, and in that sense, whose work they respect. Okay, I'll come back to you because you've already said.
There's just so many.
There's so many. All right, give me just 5 people, or 3 people whose work you're just respect or in awe of quite so much right now?
Okay. Who's the first one? It has to be, there's a guy called Akinola Davis Jr.
Yes, completely.
Filmmaker, moving image artist. We're both represented by the same people. He's just the Don. Also, I messaged him so many times being like, yo, like, these people, I hate clients. I'm the difficult one, as you mentioned. So I'm like, nah, not doing that, don't care. And then like clients come back and being like, oh, they said this and this and this. And I'm like, yo, they said this, I can't believe it. And Akin's just like, yeah, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. He's always the person who's been a massive role model, but also an inspiration. And I've grown up with him, and he like figured out in terms of filmmaking what we do and why we do the things we do. So him, I think Jenny and Carews are amazing. We're also signed to the same people. Like she's like a visionary and creates new imaginations of the black identity. Also just Michaela Cole, because she's sick and she's funny. And she's just a visionary, but also she's a boss, and I think that's dope. And I don't know, that's it.
Okay, cool, fine, love those. Dean?
Well, there's a lot as well, but I'll say my friend in Paris, Kiru, he's a massive role model to me. He's got his own label called 99 Ginger, and it just goes back to what I was saying earlier about how music is so powerful and how he connects culture globally through his platform, and how he understands music. And like when I'm with him sometimes, he's a DJ as well. So it's like when I'm with him sometimes and the sounds that he plays to me and how his musical knowledge in itself is just like, wow, like you know a lot of music. Like when I come back from Paris and I'm in the car and I've got people in the car, I play some tunes and I see them get a little Shazam out. And it's like, yeah, that's all me, man. That's all me. But nah, it's Kiru, and it's like he's an amazing guy. He's a bit older than me as well, so it's always nice to see like someone who's taken a step to have something of their own. And secondly, I think Matt Dent and Chris Dent, they're the founders of Soho Warriors and Dent International. They're instrumental in my life. Since the age of 15, they provided me with access to the creative industry. I didn't know anything about it whatsoever, but through their football team, they had like illustrators, film directors, graphic designers, like you name a job title in the creative industry, they're in the team. And it's like indirectly being exposed to it, like going to certain events when I was 15, 16 and not understanding things, and just through conversation, learning, it just became like, wow. And then like when I wanted to make my own thing, it was like, oh, I can talk to this person in the team, I can talk to that person. And it just became such an organic ecosystem where I had everything that I needed around me through Matt and Chris literally asking me to join in because they were a player short. And it's like, I'm forever grateful for that.
Well, it allowed you to build your network in that sense.
Exactly, like without even trying to.
Yeah.
And I'd say lastly, Tariq and Taro from On Road. These guys are undoubtedly some of the two most talented people within our culture. And the work they've done for me, they wouldn't even class it as work, but conversations I've had with them kicked things into seventh gear. Not like they made another gear possible. And it was just like, yeah, these guys, like they saw what I was trying to do, they believed in me. And then it's like, if you were to ask them about what they've done for me, they'll probably say it's nothing, but just their time that they provided me with.
But that's what a good mentor is.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not do this. All right, cool. Trying to change the way you think for yourself. And those two, amazing guys.
And they're mad humble as well. Just
Really,
cool,
really cool
chill
people.
And they always like their community. I remember just being around like their offices.
Yeah,
and everyone's
amazing.
Just there. Like there's a whole
It's just an
bunch of them.
open door.
It's a family.
Just walk in.
Nice.
Brilliant.
You've got 10 seconds each, not both at the same time, but final words of wisdom for any aspiring creators out there who are looking to break into the industry. Dean, 10 seconds.
Wow. Just go out there and do it, man. Don't feel scared. Make mistakes and make them again and again and again until you get to the place where you need to be.
100%.
Don't be disheartened if you don't get things done how you wanted it, or you have to work a little bit harder, or you receive rejection. And practical bit of advice: if you need to get your work out there and you don't know who the right gatekeepers are, blah 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 blah, then go to like magazines. I did it for Black Boys Don't Cry. Went to every single magazine shop in like Soho and Central London, bought the magazines and just went at the back of them and just copied and pasted all of their emails and contacts and Googled them and then emailed them like my whole film, and that's how I got like Black Boys Don't Cry out there. So yeah, just don't stop for sure.
I mean, to be fair, look, I messaged you on Instagram to see if you wanted to be on here because we'd not met before. And here you are. And actually, the football team, Josh from Nirvana, was obviously the one that connected us.
There you go.
So simple things turn into bigger things. We are coming to the end of the second day of the Power Of Festival. I'd just like to take... Oh, can I come back to you in a minute? Give me 1 sec. But I would just like to thank all of our partners who include Lambeth Town Hall and Councillor Sonia Winifred, Farfetch, Fred Perry, Nikon, Jack Arts, and for anybody that's come down over the past 2 days, thank you so much. To our wonderful panelists, Iggy and Dean, thanks for coming down. And all of the other amazing panelists who have taken part over the past 2 days, and the teams behind the scenes. I'm not going to try and remember all of the teams' names, of course, but TSL Lighting, Fold Sound, Karma, there are others. This feels like an Oscar acceptance speech, but like this is my moment right now. But no, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's taken part, and thank you for everybody coming down. Power Of Festival is out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.